You see, the thing with fire is that if you play with it, you'll get burned. You don't believe me? Well, then let me tell you a story about Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales, and maybe then you'll believe me. So, who is Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales? Hold on tight, cause this one's a hell of a ride. Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales was born in the notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's home state of Sinaloa, Mexico, where cartel activity is rampant. Growing up, Lagunas never got to meet his father. His mother left him with his grandma when he was just a little child. Lagunas left his village at the young age of 15 without completing high school and relocated to the nearby municipality of Culiacan, where he started working as a car washer to support himself, according to an interview he gave in July 2017. He adopted the moniker El Pirata de Culiacan, or the Pirate of Culiacan, in this adopted town, which would make him famous online. He started sharing videos of himself drinking beer and bottles of whiskey on social media, occasionally becoming so intoxicated that he passed out. The videos soon became popular online. He began receiving invitations to more and more gatherings, and he soon developed a binge drinking habit. This binge drinking adolescent soon became a coveted YouTube star in the years that followed. At 17, he had amassed more than 300,000 followers on Instagram and more than 1 million on Facebook. As a result of his social media prominence, he began to appear at promotional events and in music videos. The crowd was amused by his baby face and brash, clownish manner. Laguna was just a child. 17 years is below the legal age in Mexico. Laguna knew this, and he tried to change himself by way of compensation. He drew a beard on his chin that indeed made him look older. He tattooed his arms, one with a tiger and the other with a pirate, to represent his moniker of being the Pirate of Culiacan. He posed for his Instagram pictures with half-naked ladies older than him. He flexed with large weapons like guns and luxurious cars and sports bikes. The legal drinking age in Mexico was 18, but El Pirata de Culiacan seemed to have no restrictions. He lived his life like many teenage boys as though he were unstoppable, saying anything he wanted about anybody he wanted. Everything was a big game and one festive party. However, no one's susceptible in Sinaloa, one of Mexico's most dangerous states, especially if you meddle with the wrong individuals. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, was stabbed in one of Laguna's several recordings that were uploaded online when he appeared to be intoxicated. El País reported that Laguna said, "El Mencho a mí me pela la verga." It's an insult that roughly translates to, "Suck my." To understand why it was so grievous for Lagunas to cross El Mencho, let me get into the details of who Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes is. He's a potent drug lord with 5,000 adherents spread over all continents except Antarctica. His vicious cartel, the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, CJNG, is held responsible for cannibalism, murder, torture, kidnapping, and the proliferation of fentanyl, which has eclipsed heroin as the deadliest illegal substance in America. In contrast to several cartel leaders who received leadership positions through family dynasties, El Mencho's parents were farm workers who made a living in Aguililla, a city of less than 20,000 people in Michoacán, recognized as the world's avocado capital. After the 6th grade, he left school to go avocado picking. El Mencho traveled to Tijuana, a well-known border city for feuding Mexican cartels and American travelers. There, he expanded his drug trafficking operation into San Diego. He quickly established himself at the primary border crossing, a well-known drug market for cartels looking to ship their goods into the United States. El Mencho was deemed too dominant by the members of the Tijuana-based Arellano Felix group. The cartel could have killed him, but they ordered him to leave, according to U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration officers in Mexico. El Mencho, a former criminal, joined the police department in Tomatlán, a tiny town in the western state of Jalisco, south of Puerto Vallarta. El Mencho eventually made his way back to Michoacán, where he joined the Milenio cartel, a well-established gang active since the early 90s. Through his marriage to Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, El Mencho had formed a powerful alliance. Her siblings established the Los Queenies division of the Milenio cartel. To transport supplies of cocaine into Mexico on their way to the U.S., they established connections with Colombian cocaine suppliers. Eventually, they accumulated wealth that supported El Mencho's ascent, according to documents from the U.S. Justice Department. El Mencho, a character comparable to a mafia lieutenant, now commands numerous significant drug trafficking routes and hubs in Mexico, and issues instructions to the capo or plaza boss. His cartel rules over a large portion of Guadalajara and has power over the Jalisco state's periphery and other states like Colima and Michoacán. The majority of Mexico's 32 states now have CJNG, and Tijuana and Mexico City are seeing an increase in their presence. El Mencho established the piso, or levy, that entrepreneurs and independent drug dealers had to pay to capos in exchange for safety. El Mencho also took control of fraudulent politicians and police officials. The drug lord had formally begun his ambitious plan to take control of the largest drug trafficking organization in the world. El Mencho, according to DEA investigators, is more disciplined and aggressive than El Chapo. Like a ghost, El Mencho is hardly ever seen in public. Because of this, his images on wanted posters are dated and fuzzy. Despite running a billion-dollar business, he doesn't flaunt his money like previous tycoons, who were notorious for purchasing marble palaces and cruising around Guadalajara and Mexico streets in Lamborghinis and Bugattis. DEA officers in Mexico who have spent years pursuing El Mencho claim that he wouldn't want that lifestyle anyways. They think he's the happiest when riding a horse through the Jalisco mountains, far from the bustle of the nation's capital. Power attracts him more than money does. El Mencho's discipline is one factor in his success. He abstains from drugs and alcohol to avoid the stupid errors that other cartel bosses have made. He works out every day to stay in condition to run from the feds. That made him escape capture possible by going on the run for days over rugged terrain. He also stays in isolated compounds, challenging for authorities to access, so he's rarely seen. He enjoys riding horses and racing motorcycles on ranches. He incites terror and cooperation using severe violence, such as acid baths, beheadings, and cannibalism. Many of these horrifying fatalities are shared on social media by his cartel members. This includes threats made on Twitter and Facebook, recordings of torture and murder posted on YouTube, and even pictures of dead people dangling from bridges on Pinterest. A $10 million reward has been offered by the US for information that results in El Mencho's capture. The Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes reward is one of the largest ones granted by the US State Department's Narcotics Rewards Program. It doubles the previous $5 million reward for information leading to his detention. Oseguera became Mexico's most wanted drug lord after Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was extradited to the United States. Mexico announced its reward of 30 million pesos or $1.6 million for information that results in his capture. It's unknown why Lagunas decided to stab this kingpin, but I wish he hadn't. On the night of December 18, 2017, while Lagunas and his pals were having a good time at a bar in Jalisco, a group of armed men barged in and opened fire on Lagunas, according to the state's Attorney General, Raul Sanchez Jimenez, who spoke to Mexican media sources. The adolescent died after receiving 15 to 18 gunshot wounds. Due to his tattoos, authorities were able to identify Lagunas. The prosecution hasn't ascertained the identity and motivations of those responsible. They did, however, affirm to news organizations that they are looking into a potential connection to the most recent El Mencho insult video. The passing of Lagunas occurs amid a year that is on pace to surpass all previous bloodiest years in Mexico. 20,878 murders, or 69 a day, were recorded nationwide in the first 10 months of 2017. It's a perilous time and place for anyone, but especially for a young man living irresponsibly in search of fame. Reporter Fernando Meja for Univision wrote in a piece titled "The Poisoned Fame of El Pirata" that the boy decided to forge a career as a broken toy of online, a route he built out drink by drink, and left him with adversaries of flesh and blood. Lagunas seemed to have accepted his vices. He supposedly had a contract with a record label and intended to pursue a singing career. In a July 2017 interview with radio host and producer Pepe Garza, Lagunas admitted that he was aware that he needed to cut back on his drinking. Garza told him, "You drink a lot all at once and the body isn't intended for that." "People frequently inquire about my ways," the adolescent said. "How do you tolerate drinking so much?" "I merely chuckle and remark I don't know how I do it. But they're right," he added. "I sometimes overstep my bounds." He was wished success in his work by the host and urged to rein down his partying so that he can endure many years. Sadly, his music career never saw the light of day. I hope you believe me now that if you play with fire, you will get burned. For more stories like this, please hit that subscribe button and like and share with your family and friends. What do you think would have saved Lagunas from this premature death? Let us engage in that comment section. Until next time, adios.